Take a look. These are the men, 16 of them involved in a brutal attack inside a state prison.
That violent attack sent 3 correctional officers to the hospital.
Well, today he pleaded guilty to 9 counts, including felony in perpetration of. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Watson is accused of Deborah Johnson, who worked for the Department of Corrections for nearly 40 years. The department issued a statement today saying her absence is felt.
6 people are facing charges after an investigation into how contraband was getting into a state prison in Morgan County. Those 6 people are accused of introducing contraband into a facility.
Tennessee's prison system has long battled issues like violence, overcrowding, and chronic understaffing. Within its network of correctional facilities, certain prisons stand out as particularly dangerous, places where violence is routine and the environment is tense for both inmates and staff. These institutions house some of the most violent offenders in the state, and their reputations reflect decades of instability, gang activity, and understaffed operations.
An inmate at Riverbend has been charged with accused of stabbing another inmate to death. Robert Bryan is accused of stabbing Bradley Johnson in February.
I'll tell you what, Amy, forbidden romance is right. We're talking about some alleged inappropriate fraternization behind bars at Riverbend Maximum Security Prison. What do we know about this? Well, maybe the makings of a romance novel? No, this is a big no-no behind bars. A female correctional officer is accused of having a sexual relationship with an inmate there, and the reports are that she may now even be pregnant. Apparently, she had resigned last month, but written the inmate letters about their romance, which were intercepted there at the prison and then led to an investigation. Among other things, the review of security video showed an inappropriate romantic relationship. It didn't help that the inmate under questioning also admitted to that sexual relationship.
Meanwhile, a death investigation is underway at the Riverbend prison, and the TBI is investigating it as a homicide. Just yesterday, correctional officers found inmate Justin Walters dead in his cell.
One of the most dangerous is Riverbend Maximum Security Institution, RMSI, in Nashville. Opened in 1989, Riverbend holds many of Tennessee's most notorious criminals, including death row inmates. Its maximum security designation means the population includes individuals convicted of murder, gang-related crimes, and other violent offenses. Tensions run high inside the facility due to the hopelessness many inmates face while serving life sentences or awaiting execution. Gang activity is rampant, and assaults, both inmate on inmate and inmate on staff, have been reported regularly. In one incident in 2021, a corrections officer was stabbed in what authorities believe was a gang-coordinated attack. Despite its secure infrastructure, Riverbend's intense inmate population keeps it at the top of the list of Tennessee's most dangerous prisons.
In West Tennessee pleaded guilty to a prison administrator during a 2019 escape. Curtis Watson escaped from the West Tennessee State Penitentiary in 2019, leading to a manhunt that lasted several days. Well, today he pleaded guilty to 9 counts, including felony in perpetration of. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Watson is accused of Deborah Johnson, who worked for the Department of Corrections for nearly 40 years.
And we should say this is a maximum security facility that's housing some of the state's most dangerous criminals. Here's what we know this morning from the Tennessee Department of Corrections. The spokesperson there, Nasa Taylor, tells us that officers there at the prison caught wind of a plot to escape from that prison and managed to stop the inmate mastermind from ever leaving the grounds. I'm told no fences there were ever breached.
Another facility that often draws concern is the West Tennessee State Penitentiary, WTSP, located in Henning. With a capacity of over 2,400 inmates, WTSP houses a mix of minimum to maximum security offenders. However, it is particularly known for housing violent criminals, including those convicted of armed robbery, assault, and homicide. The prison has struggled for years with chronic understaffing, leaving fewer guards to manage an already volatile population. This has led to multiple large-scale disturbances over the years. In 2015, fights broke out across several housing units, prompting a full lockdown of the facility. More recently, in 2020, a riot reportedly triggered by gang tensions led to several serious injuries. WTSP's large and diverse inmate population, combined with resource shortfalls, makes it one of Tennessee's most unpredictable prisons. Privately operated by CoreCivic, the South Central Correctional Facility, SCCF in Clifton, is another hotspot for violence and unrest. Though it is classified as a medium security prison, SCCF houses a significant number of high-risk offenders. Over the years, numerous riots, assaults, and incidents of staff abuse have been reported. Critics argue that the privatized model leads to cost-cutting measures that compromise safety and security. In 2016, over 100 inmates were involved in a major riot that resulted in injuries and property damage. Additionally, ongoing concerns have been raised about the lack of mental health services and undertrained correctional officers, making SCCF a pressure cooker of dangerous behavior and inadequate response.
8 inmates at the Morgan County Correctional Complex were taken to the hospital after they were injured in a fight. That's according to the Department of Correction. A spokesman says they suffered minor injuries.
People are facing charges after an investigation into how contraband was getting into a state prison in Morgan County. Those 6 people are accused of introducing contraband into a facility, official misconduct, or engaging in sexual activity with an
County
inmate.
inmates been found guilty of brutally assaulting a corrections officer while behind bars. Officials say Jovan Crawford beat a corrections officer unconscious in September of 2019. At the time of the attack, Crawford was already serving a sentence for aggravated assault and attempted second degree. Friday, a judge sentenced Crawford to 8 more years in jail. All right, we're turning our attention.
In Morgan County, a food worker at the Morgan County Correctional Complex is charged with sneaking marijuana into the prison. The Department of Corrections says staff spotted Miranda Sue Jones dropping a package in the prison. It had more than 3 ounces of marijuana inside. Jones is now facing felony charges.
Morgan County Correctional Complex, MCCX, located in Wartburg, is one of the state's largest maximum security prisons. Opened in the 1980s and expanded in 2009, MCCX houses roughly 2,400 inmates, many of whom have extensive histories of violence. It's also home to a large number of inmates with severe mental health issues, which only compounds the facility's safety problems. MCCX has been the site of multiple violent incidents, including the 2014 assault of a correctional officer by a group of gang-affiliated inmates. Inmate grievances and lawsuits have also highlighted issues of excessive force and inadequate medical care. For both inmates and staff, the environment at MCCX can be dangerous and highly stressful.
Good evening, everyone. Take a look. These are the men, 16 of them involved in a brutal attack inside a state prison.
That violent attack sent 3 correctional officers to the hospital, and tonight we're learning about the inmates' criminal history.
News Channel 5's Emily Luxon is at the 5 Alert Center. And what's next for these inmates?
Well, 4 of the 16 have already been moved to the Riverbend Maximum Security Institution in Nashville. The others will be moved to a maximum security facility in East Tennessee. Now, these men were serving time for crimes ranging from aggravated robbery to and now may be facing additional charges. Chaos erupts inside the Turney Center Industrial Complex. 2 officers were stabbed multiple times. A third was held hostage for 3 hours. The Tennessee Department of Corrections says inmates were returning from recreational time when a verbal argument broke out, and then the situation escalated. No inmates were injured.
In this situation, we had approximately 128 inmates in the unit. 16 of them participated in this incident.
Of the 16 inmates involved, 4 men, Michael Mills, Nicholas Durant, Victor Sparkman, and Ronnie Akins, have been moved to a maximum security facility. 2 of those men were among the 5 involved who were serving life sentences for 7 of the 16 inmates are convicted killers. The Department of Corrections said the incident in Hickman County shows the dangers officers and staff face on the job. Team coverage continues now at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. That's where the injured officers are getting treatment.
While technically a medium security institution, Turney Center Industrial Complex in Olney, Tennessee, has developed a reputation for high levels of violence and unrest. Opened in 1971 and housing around 1,600 inmates, Turney Center's annex holds some of the most violent prisoners in the state. Overcrowding is a significant issue here, with more inmates than the facility was originally designed to hold. Combined with frequent staffing shortages, this makes the prison difficult to control. Gangs like the Gangster Disciples and Vice Lords have a strong presence, and violence between rival groups is a recurring problem. In 2017, a correctional officer was taken hostage during a riot and held for hours before being rescued. Other violent incidents have resulted in hospitalizations and facility-wide lockdowns.
Inmates at the Hardeman County Jail have died within the last 5 weeks, raising concerns and speculations.
Breaking news just into the Local 24 newsroom. According to representatives with Core Civic, the Hardeman County Correctional Facility is on lockdown. We're told an inmate died there this afternoon. The inmate was found unconscious at 3 this afternoon. EMS crews took him to an outside hospital where he was pronounced dead.
Hardeman County Correctional Facility, located in Whiteville, is another privately operated prison that consistently ranks high in reports of violence and unrest. Also run by Core Civic, Hardeman houses medium security inmates, but deals with many of the same issues as maximum security facilities. With limited staff and training, guards have often been unable to de-escalate situations quickly, resulting in stabbings, fights, and assaults on officers. Inmates have also reported unsanitary living conditions, a lack of medical care, and retaliatory punishments. In 2018, a group of inmates reportedly took over a housing unit, forcing a tactical team response to regain control. These incidents have ongoing concerns about the effectiveness and safety of privately managed prisons in Tennessee. Another dangerous institution is the Bledsoe County Correctional Complex in Pikeville, which serves as an intake and classification center for many inmates entering the Tennessee prison system. This facility has multiple security levels, but its high turnover of inmates creates an unpredictable and sometimes volatile environment. New inmates often arrive with unresolved legal issues, mental health problems, or withdrawal symptoms from substance abuse, which can lead to conflicts and crises. Bledsoe has been the site of several high-profile assaults and suicides, and staff shortages have made it difficult to provide the necessary oversight and care. In 2020, 2 correctional officers were injured during an attempted gang assault inside one of the housing units.
Tennessee Department of Corrections spokesman Robert Rayburn says inmates at Northeast Correctional Complex were treated on site or sent to local hospitals last night for treatment of what they're calling non-life-threatening injuries. He says no officers were hurt. Jackie DeFusco reports the fight is the latest in a series of problems at the facility within the last
Police are investigating the death of an inmate at the Northeast Correctional Complex in St. Johnsbury. Police say on Monday morning they were notified by the Department of Corrections that 52-year-old Robert Brown of Johnson had been admitted into the University of Vermont Medical Center in Burlington and was not expected to survive.
Finally, Northeast Correctional Complex in Mountain City may not make headlines as often as others, but its remote location and chronic understaffing have led to serious problems. This medium security facility has a reputation for being out of sight, out of mind, with inmates and officers alike describing it as neglected. Due to its location in the Appalachian region, it has difficulty recruiting and retaining staff, leading to inadequate security coverage and slower responses to emergencies. In recent years, the prison has faced multiple internal investigations involving excessive force, poor mental health services, and unsanctioned punishment tactics. The isolation of this facility can create an environment where oversight is minimal, which only increases the potential for abuse and violence. The problems at these prisons are not isolated. They're part of broader, systemic issues affecting Tennessee's correctional system. Chronic understaffing is a common denominator across these facilities, leaving guards overwhelmed and unable to safely manage inmate populations. Overcrowding remains a persistent issue as well, especially in older facilities not equipped to handle modern inmate numbers. Mental health care is another major shortfall, as many inmates with psychological disorders are housed in environments that offer minimal support, increasing the risk of violent outbursts. Finally, the presence and influence of prison gangs cannot be overstated. Groups like the Gangster Disciples, Aryan Brotherhood, and vice lords use these facilities as recruitment and battlegrounds, further escalating violence. In conclusion, the most dangerous prisons in Tennessee, such as Riverbend, West Tennessee State Penitentiary, South Central Correctional Facility, Morgan County, Turney Center, Hardman County, Bledsoe County, and Northeast Correctional, reveal the deep-rooted challenges facing the state's prison system. Without comprehensive reforms to staffing, healthcare, mental health services, and gang prevention, these facilities will likely remain breeding grounds for violence, unrest, and systemic failure.